When you first start off mixing vocals, applying EQ can seem like somewhat of a minefield, and if you make a few choices and you don't know what you're doing, stuff can get confusing really quickly. Yes, it's true, every vocal is different and the nuances of every vocal is different, but I'm going to give you today 5 frequency bands to look out for when you get started mixing vocals. I'm going to show you what they are and why you want to apply them. Let's dive straight in. Okay, so let's kick things off with number 1, filters. Super easy to dial in, very effective. High pass and low pass filters can be really useful with vocals. You want to be using low pass filters if you've got multiple vocal takes to clean up and keep focus up there in the top end. With the high pass filter, so you're allowing the highs to pass through whilst mitigating the low frequencies, they're going to be really handy for bringing it in just to clean up that low end. Unnecessary stuff that you won't need in a busy mix like this one, but also to keep focus and space down there for the kick and the bass. So I'm going to bring this high pass filter in now. It's on off at the moment on this Neve console, and we've got 4 options notched here. You'll easily hear when the high pass filter goes too far because the vocal starts to obviously thin out. It starts to have a bit of a transistor radio about it. So let's just take a listen.
It's a little story about my neighborhood. There's trouble in the streets, it don't look too good. Don't look him in the eye, a forbidden stare. A whistle as he passes hanging in the air. Don't you want to even try it? Just one taste, don't walk by it. Throw me your face, I can see you're thinking.
So typically I start off around 80 hertz and just take things from there. You can definitely audibly hear it thinning out a little bit at 160, but I don't think in the mix it's going to cause any sort of issue. But certainly by 300 you can really hear that it's starting to over thin out that vocal. So considering that this vocal's in a busy band mix, I'm going to settle at 160. On to number 2, the low end, and on this Neve emulation that's at 220. Now this might sound overly obvious, but if your vocal sounds thin, you may want to bring some of this in to fatten out that low end. Now that might be the case if you've got quite a sparse mix where the vocal's really the star. I'm thinking, a vocal and just a guitar or a piano. But in a band mix like this one, more often than not, you're going to find yourself cutting some of that away to maintain focus of the vocal and again keep some space in the mix for other instruments. Let's just take a listen.
It's a little story about my neighborhood. There's trouble in the streets, it don't look too good. Don't look him in the eye, a forbidden stare.
Mix.
A whistle as he passes hanging in the air. Don't you want to even try it? Just one taste, don't walk by it. From your face, I can see you're thinking, oh no, I really don't think so.
On to number 3, and this is a frequency band which is super common if you're recording your vocals from your home, in your home studio, and you're working in a relatively small or square room that's going to cause boxiness. Anywhere between say 500 hertz around that area. I'm using this plugin which attenuates around that mid-range. Here we've got some notches at 200, 300, 500 hertz. I'm going to show you what happens as we attenuate at 500 hertz on this vocal.
It's a little story about my neighborhood. There's trouble in the streets, it don't look too good. Don't look him in the eye, a forbidden stare. A whistle as he passes hanging in the air. It's a little story.
So as you go really extreme, you can hear it sort of hollows out that mid-range. Let's bring some of that back in.
Story about my neighborhood. There's trouble in the streets, it don't look too good. Don't look him in the eye, a forbidden stare. A whistle as he passes hanging in the air.
Off.
It's a little story about my neighborhood. There's trouble in the streets, it don't look too good.
Back on.
Don't look him in the...
Next up, number 4, we're talking about presence and clarity and your vocal cutting through the mix. You have to be careful because this can also cause harshness. So it's all about balance. Looking around 2 to 6K here, and it's super easy to work with again with this plugin. I'm at 4.8K. Let's boost some of it and take a listen to what it does to the vocal.
Streets, it don't look too good. Don't look him in the eye, a forbidden stare. A whistle as he passes hanging in the air. It's a little story about my neighborhood. There's trouble in the streets, it don't look too good. Don't look him in the eye, a forbidden stare. A whistle as he passes hanging in the air.
Now as you're boosting around that 2 to 6K area, looking for presence and clarity and getting that vocal to cut through the mix, you'll often find that you're also going to be boosting some really harsh frequencies too. Now, to cut some of these, I'm reaching for a stock EQ. I want to make more surgical cuts, so I'm not being too destructive to the overall tone of my vocal. I'm going to give you an example of what this sounds like. Hold on to your ears because this is a really harsh little frequency, this one. So it's at 2.76. Let me give it a little boost.
It's a little story about my neighborhood. There's trouble in the streets, it don't look too good. Don't look him in the eye, a forbidden stare. A whistle as he passes hanging in the air.
The easiest way to find these frequencies is just to fish around this area. If there's anything that throws out in your speakers, it sounds really deeply unpleasant to your ears, that's where you may want to make a cut.
It's a little story about my neighborhood. There's trouble in the streets, it don't look too good. Don't look him in the eye, a forbidden stare. A whistle as he passes hanging in the air. It's a little story about my neighborhood.
And finally, onto the air band. Anywhere from around 12k onwards, this Maag EQ goes up to a bat-bending 40 kilohertz. But air is going to open up and give a pro silky sheen to that top end. Let's just take a listen to what this Maag EQ is doing.
A neighborhood, there's trouble in the streets, it don't look too good. Don't look him in the eye, a forbidden stare. A whistle as he passes hanging in the air. It's a little story about my neighborhood. There's trouble in the streets, it don't look too good.
Okay, so I've now brought in the rest of my processing onto this vocal chain. It's worth mentioning when you are boosting certainly the upper frequencies, you will want to be bringing in de-essers, which will help you tame some of the s that you're bringing in as you boost those areas on your vocal. And don't be afraid of using multiple de-essers too as you're building your vocal chain. Let's take a listen to the vocal with all of that processing on and off in the mix. So here is it, first off with no processing.
It's a little story about my neighborhood. There's trouble in the streets, it don't look too good. There's trouble in the streets, it don't look too good. Don't look him in the eye, a forbidden stare. A whistle as he passes hanging in the air.
I've got a free vocal EQ cheat sheet. It's going to help you every time when it comes to mixing vocals. You can grab that for free right now. The link's below this video. If you want to take your mixes and productions to the next level, I've got a whole bunch of courses and I'm going to give you 10% off those courses right now with coupon code YouTube10. You can check them out. The link is just below this video. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. I wish you well with your vocal mixing. Most importantly, go have yourself a great day.